Pork afternoon. Good afternoon po sa ating lahat, mayang hapon. Today we'd like to thank the e-agricom webinar for inviting us. It's their 6th e-agricom webinar. No? So right now, we will talk about the Philippine swine industry opportunities, challenges, and moving forward. No? I will be sharing together with our Vice Chairman, Alfred. Our topic outline for today is overview of the swine industry and the opportunities, challenges, moving forward, and some key takeaways. And overview of the swine industry by National Federation of Hog Farmers, Inc. If you see, the Philippine hog industry is a 191 billion peso industry and is the second leading contributor to Philippine agriculture with 18.28% value contribution, coming in second to the rice, despite being almost exclusively without government subsidy. The country's swine inventory as of April 2019, pre-ASF time, was estimated at around 12.73 million heads, or close to 13 million heads according to PSA data in 2018. Pre-AS time po pala ito. So the Philippines was ranked 8th in global total pork production with about 1,602 metric tons of pork produced annually. When ASF hit us in July 2019, and within months nag-spread po ito throughout the northern provinces of Luzon, where hog population is most concentrated. And at the onset of the outbreak, pig mortalities were high, and yung mga farm po, ang culling po is almost 100% po. So when that happened, yung demand went down as consumer were misinformed and shied away from eating pork even when it was safe to eat. And of course, yung over-congestion in farms resulted, and farmers panic. Kami po, mga farm owners, siyempre, we fear of contracting the ASF virus, and inadvertently sold, binenta po namin yung mga animals below the market price and below the production cost. So many farmers also stopped breeding to minimize stress and movement of their breeder animals. So yan po yung nangyari at that time. This one, yung effect po ng COVID, in March 2020, the COVID pandemic has worsened the industry situation due to prolonged lockdowns, business closures, job and income losses, and primary market closures. Yung mga demand po went down even further. So farmers were discouraged that time and continued to depopulate voluntarily or otherwise due to the continuous spread of ASF. By this time, I think most of Luzon is infected yung panahon na yon, and declared as red zone. And meron pong mga sporadic isolated cases sa Visayas and Mindanao as well. When that time, after some time, when the smoke cleared, the swine industry population was reduced by almost 30%. According din to sa PSA, and kasama na rin po kami sa private sector, yun po yung mga nawala sa atin, computation is 30%. Yung swine population natin that time is around 9.49 million na lang po heads around January 2022. And there was also a shift in population of pig producing region in Western Visayas. Sila po yung nagre-register ng highest total swine population with 1.15 million heads. Siyempre, sinundan po ito ng Central Visayas na meron silang 1.14 million heads. And yung Calabarzon with 1.02 million heads. So ito pong tatlong region accounted for almost 35% no, of the total swine inventory in the country. So, itong new challenges natin with the reduction of the swine inventory and production, and with the economy slowly opening up, demand is outpacing supply, and this resulted to unprecedented farm gate price tumaas po, and retail price for pork tumaas rin. So the government led by DA, NEDA, DOF, Department of Finance, has used food inflation as a reason to push for increase in MAB, yung tinatawag nating minimum access volume. And at the same time, reduction of tariffs for imported pork in order to lower down the price of pork in the market. Yun po yung ginawa nilang hakbang para daw bumaba yung presyo sa market. But yung nakita naman natin yung retail prices natin stabilized for a time, but did not go down significantly even with the massive imports coming in. And still, they continue to push for both yung minimum access volume plus tariff reduction. Dapat tapos na po itong this month of May, yung month of May. Tapos na po siya ngayon, expire na siya, but ang gusto nila is to extend until the end of 2022. Which against po tayo doon, pero titingnan po natin, mukhang tinuloy na po nila yung pag-extend up to December 2022. So dito, the only way for us to combat this unabated import policy of the government is to bring back the local production of pork. So tayo naman dito sa National Federation of Hog Farmers Inc., has been on the forefront of the industry's repopulation effort since last quarter of 2020. So we continuously attend international webinars on ASF experience and control, yung mga nangyari sa Vietnam, China, Thailand, and even the EU. No? So for us, we learn on the biosecurity practices that we needed to minimize the risk of infection and reinfection. We also had regular monthly membership meetings and exchange from experiences in biosecurity controls and procedures. So ito pong 2021, marami pong farms, several farms adopting both international and local biosecurity procedures. Nag-umpisa po yan, and they start repopulation. No? So most of our member, yung mga nagdepa or nilinis po yung farm nila, they started at around 20 or even 30% capacities muna. Then slowly tinataas po nila yung population nila sa farm. So some were successful, yung iba naman po hindi masyado naging successful, but ang importante po dito is almost after a year of repopulation, at which time doon lang po natin ma-assess yung naging success tsaka yung failure natin. So nag-share po tayo mga members ng farm na ano yung naging magandang ginawa, ano rin yung mga hindi magandang experience para ma-share natin at hindi na maulit. No? So yung mga farms started sharing their experiences to encourage other members to proceed with their repopulation cautiously as well. So itong just recently the National Livestock Program itong sa DA has opened its Inspire program to commercial farmers. Tayo naman po, yung grupo natin sa National Federation of Hog Farmers Inc., tsaka mga allied industry natin kasama, we all of us we participate actively and cooperating with DA on this repopulation program. And we hope that in the next couple of months, more members will encourage to avail of this grant and start their own repopulation projects cautiously, following the new normal swine farming methods of heightened biosecurity protocols and practices na yung tinuturo sa atin ng PCSP, PBDA. Nandun po lahat yan, lahat po ng guidelines nandun po, susundin lang po natin. So I think now I'd like to call our Vice Chairman Alfred, who is also chairing the repopulation program, no, especially in North and South Luzon. He will discuss the opportunities, challenges, and how to move on and move forward in this industry, tsaka yung mga summary po natin. So thank you very much for listening.
Once again, good afternoon to all the participants and to the organizers of e-agricom. Again, thank you for this opportunity for Chairman and I to share our experiences, insights, but more important, our plans and projects to keep the industry moving forward and to recover. Chairman Chester and I are known to be the Batman and Robin tandem of the swine industry. We do everything as a team and as partners. We know Batman to be a man of a few but wise words, and Robin to be the more talkative one. So allow me to talk for many more minutes, and we hope we can be as informative as possible given this limited time to present. So I'd like to talk about the opportunities that are present for our industry today. If you look at the slide, there are pictures of us promoting Pinoy pork. No? Yeah, you can see on the right side, there are 3 logos. First logo is actually the logo of the National Federation of Hog Farmers. And our tagline since 1990 has been Love Fresh Pinoy Pork. So even since our inception, we have been promoting to eat Pinoy pork. No? So tangkilikin natin ang sariling atin. So kumain tayo ng Pinoy pork. Local pork talaga support natin. And in 2018, while we were waiting, we were afraid that the ASF is going to hit us. We started already with our campaign. So yung second logo that was launched in early 2019 in January. And also it has the meaning Eat Pinoy Pork. So again, we are encouraging people to eat Pinoy pork kasi nga alam natin, ang ASF could come from imported sources, especially wala pa tayong first border inspection. Okay. And finally, the third logo is about kung familiar yung logo niyan, it's because it's the logo of IATF ng COVID, and we modified it a bit. Ginawa natin RIATF, no? Which stands for Repopulation Initiatives and Assistance to Farmers. So this was launched in February 2022. So these are the initiatives of the National Federation, which I will touch on a little bit later. As the economy opened up this February and as COVID cases started to be manageable, restaurants, hotels, and malls started to bring back their customers. Demand for food, including pork, is starting to rise. No? With demand outpacing supply, the price of pork went up all throughout the food chain. This created opportunity for farmers with existing pig production to increase their profit margins. And this in turn will encourage more investments and expansion programs. Other investors will also be bullish with the current situation and may construct new farms to ride on this opportunity to supply the current pork shortage. The Philippine swine population continues to grow at a rate of 1.36% in 2022, in spite of the COVID pandemic and economic uncertainties. Wala yatang ginagawa yung mga tao. Naka-lockdown tayo. So I think aside from Netflix, there are some other things that they have in mind. So ang population natin nag-grow, no? It's now already at 112.5 million from 111 million in 2021. The Filipinos are also pork eaters and pork lovers. And this is evident in a number of Filipino dishes we create and consume, like pork adobo, lechon, sisig, crispy pata, menudo, to name a few. The Philippines is actually the world's 10th largest consumer and 8th top producer and 7th largest importer of pork. Pinoys just love to pig out, gobbling up about 35 kilos of meat yearly, including about 15 kilos of pork. Statista listed the Philippine per capita consumption of pork for 2022 is at 14.9 kilos. With the Filipino passion of eating pork, we continue to be one of the lowest pork consuming people in the world. Spain ranks number 1 with 55.2 per capita consumption, while China, the world's most populous country, ranks only 13th with 37.2 kilograms per capita consumption. Here in Asia, South Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, and Japan's per capita consumption is at 37.9, 29.9, 24.7, and 21.5 kilos respectively. So ours is only 14.9, so there's really an opportunity to increase this per capita consumption. So with the continuous population growth and the Filipinos' love for eating pork, there is an opportunity for a bigger per capita consumption of pork. As long as the economy improves, the whole nation progresses, and the people will have more disposable income to spend. We are hoping the new government will implement programs to revive the economy through agriculture, create more jobs, and increase the income of the Filipino people, particularly the farmers, so that together we can be self-sufficient and produce the food necessary to feed our people, ensuring food security and food safety through food sovereignty. What are the challenges that we're facing currently? In 2021, there were about 16 farms in Tarlac who repopulated, and 10 of them were not that successful. The ASF virus is very resilient, and it takes thorough cleaning and disinfecting, and perhaps long periods of rest to completely inactivate the virus in your farms due to the absence of a viable host. That is why it is very important that we clean and disinfect properly and do environmental swabs to ensure either the complete absence or at least the presence of very low levels of the viral load. BAI also did a commercial trial of Vietnamese ASF vaccine, but the results are not convincing enough since 2 out of 8 farms were infected and trial animals culled. Currently, one big integrator farm is doing another trial on a Thai vaccine, with everyone hoping for a favorable trial result this time. Even when the US announced safety passes for the Vietnamese vaccine, the final testing and registration procedures may still take 3 to 4 years to complete. There are also continuous sporadic cases of ASF reported in Mindanao, and how DA, LGUs, commercial farmer groups handle the culling will ultimately determine its containment. Again, indemnification or other alternative compensation packages in cash or kind may be the key for affected farmers to cooperate with DA and voluntarily surrender their animals for culling to prevent ASF spread to other areas. However, the cost of repopulation is very high. It has increased a lot. Breeder guilds are now valued at 30,000 pesos per animal from 20,000 pesos pre-ASF. Piglet prices for a 15 kilogram piglet has risen as well and is now at about 7,750 pesos from 4,000 pesos pre-ASF. The cost of added biosecurity control facilities and protocols as defined by Babay ASF program of BAI, with minimum biosecurity level 1 for backyard farms and biosecurity level 2 for semi-commercial and commercial farms, are anywhere between 200,000 pesos to millions of pesos for retrofitting your farm for better protection. So added protocols will also include investments in the change of clothes, footwear, soaps, alcohols, and even disinfectants. All these bring up the operational expenses of farms in this new normal. And indeed, another challenge is the cost of feeds has gone up by nearly 50% across all rations, since the feed raw materials have all increased. Yellow corn grows from 14 pesos per kilo pre-ASF to 21 pesos per kilo, and it's expected to further rise to 25 to 26 pesos per kilo in the next few months. US soybean had better than expected yield, But due to the crane damage in an important export hub in Washington in September 2021, have caused the unexpected shortage of soybean meal due to delayed loadings and shipments. It has been 6 months after the accident, but US has yet to announce the hub's full and normal operation. Prices since then have risen from 27 pesos per kilo to as high as 54 pesos per kilo before settling at 35 pesos per kilo. Other ingredients used in feeds like cocoa oil rose from 42 pesos to 105 pesos per kilo. Pollard rose from 12.50 per kilo to 18.20 per kilo. Rice bran rose from 11 pesos to 20 pesos per kilo. Even synthetic amino acids rose by 100%. And now wheat is an important substitute for yellow corn, is unavailable due to the ongoing war in Russia and Ukraine, as they are both important and top 5 exporters and suppliers of both wheat and corn in the world. India recently also stopped their wheat exports so that they can, so that the only available source we have right now is from Australia, which is limited and more expensive. Fuel prices have also doubled because of the war, bringing up the cost of logistics, freight, and distribution. With higher fuel prices, fertilizer prices have also gone up from 800 pesos per bag to 3,200 pesos per bag, bringing up cost of production for rice, corn, and other agricultural commodities. As a result, our nutritionists are frantically looking for alternative sources of raw materials to formulate cost-effective feed inputs for our animals. Some of these raw materials may have not been tested yet, so we should expect changes in both feed quality and feed consumption, which may in the end affect our animals' growth rates as well. Okay, moving forward, what are we going to do? With the cost of repopulation increasing and the cost of feeds continuously increasing as a result of external factors like war, the cost of production for livestock shall remain to be high. Prices of pork will continue to be prohibitive for some sectors of our community until such time when the industry will be back to its normal production levels. With the opening of our economy and with the COVID slowing down, we shall expect some economic recovery, and this will bring up demand for food as well. With a continued short and level pork production, demand will outpace supply. In order to make pork available and affordable to more people, we must encourage repopulation of the industry. Even with the above-mentioned challenges, the current higher market prices should encourage swine farmers to repopulate cautiously and successfully, as long as farmers follow the strict biosecurity protocols. The Department of Agriculture, through the National Livestock Program chaired by Director Ruth Sonaco Miklat of ITCPH, has heeded our call to assist the commercial farmers heavily affected and wiped out by ASF by opening up the INSPIRE program to commercial farmers. This was opened up recently, I think in the latter part of February. Currently, the National Federation of Hog Farmers is working hand in hand with the National Livestock Program to accredit member farmers and to assist them to qualify for the 5.5 million grant to be given to each approved applicant. The original guidelines offer this repopulation program only to backyard farmer clusters and cooperatives. 4.1 million from the 5.5 million will go to the construction of a climate-controlled building to house about 150 to 300 pigs, an office and waste treatment plant. 900,000 pesos will go to piglet purchase, and the remaining 500,000 is for feed and medicine support. This amount is not enough, especially for backyard farmers who do not have enough capital. At current piglet prices, 150 piglets will cost about 1.5 million pesos. And feed consumption cost will be about 900,000 pesos. Besides, the program calls for clusters to come up with a land of at least 2,000 square meter. And this perhaps is the single most difficult obstacle for backyard clusters to avail, especially in Luzon, with most farms already situated in urban, populated provincial setting. So wala na talaga available land to obtain para gumawa nitong mga ganyan small clusters, no, backyard clusters. But I think in the other provinces, like in Vismin, of course, there's a very big opportunity for these clusters to happen. Okay. The total budget of the Inspire program for this year is 2.95 billion. So it makes more sense to involve commercial farmers who have the land, the buildings, and perhaps some financial capability to push forward with the program successfully. When the program was offered to us in end February, we immediately held meetings with at least 9 member associations in Luzon, explaining to them the BABA ASF program and the Inspire program. Many, though, are still skeptical and hesitant due to the fear of reinfection after repopulation. Many question DA's importation policy and viewed backyard repopulation as a continuous threat. We tried our best to explain and give hope, reminding them that with strict biosecurity measures, many have been successful. But at the end of the day, it is each one's risk analysis and investment decision. We have about 70 members out of our hundreds of members who registered their participation of this program. We hope that after completion of all the documentation and farm assessments, our qualified members may start the repopulation programs. When our other members see the success of these programs, then maybe more will be encouraged to repopulate. Again, the success of these repopulation programs depends heavily on individual farms, biosecurity protocols, procedures, and this is why the correct protocols must be harmonized so that everyone can repopulate safely. Our group, the National Federation, has launched our own RPOP program last February 2, focusing on information dissemination, biosecurity education, training and harmonization, actual farm experience sharing, environmental swabbing, and Sentinel program. We are soliciting the cooperation and assistance of our allied industry partners, PVMA, PVDA, PCSP, PhilSan, PAFMI, and ASBAP to help us in this repopulation program. We will aggressively target the whole of Luzon, both backyard and commercial farms, and educate all the farmers to practice the new normal of swine farming, focusing on strict biosecurity protocols. The old outdated practices of pig raising must be revolutionized and modernized to protect our animals and our investments from present and future viral and bacterial disease challenges. The new normal teaches us how to live with the virus and protect our pigs against it. This will involve changing our mindsets, our old habits and practices, and even our traditional culture of raising pigs. BAI has such a program for backyards, but we hope our private initiatives can build on these efforts and also help our own commercial farms to be updated, to be able to repopulate safely. One of our main activities is to come up with a biosecurity and repopulation manual to be distributed nationwide to both backyard and commercial farm owners to assist them to learn the new normal and practice enhanced biosecurity measures to be able to raise their pigs safely and profitably. We know that not all biosecurity protocols can be tailored fit to each farm, but we try our best to define the minimum standards necessary to be able to repopulate successfully. Okay. So in this picture, we see Chairman Chester and myself, and we are promoting to bring back the golden years of pig farming. No? So let's talk about the summary and key takeaways. Okay, number one, just like COVID, ASF is here to stay, and complete eradication will not happen in the near future. We must learn and adapt to live with the virus and protect our animals by implementing and observing enhanced biosecurity facilities and protocols. Number two, all swine farmers must unlearn the old habits and ways of raising their pigs, like feeding swills and not practicing biosecurity protocols. Both farmers and their farm workers must be committed to practice and learn the new normal way of farming to protect their animals against present and future disease dangers. Number three, even with the presence of uncontrollable factors like rising inputs and feed costs, there remains an opportunity to increase the income and alleviate poverty among rural and agricultural households in the Philippines, where rural poverty remains high due to the growing demand for pork consumption and its current prices. Farmers in the rural areas may be encouraged and taught to go back to pig raising safely and profitably. Number four, DA must rethink their pro-importation policies. Instead, support the local farmers, helping them repopulate responsibly and safely through continuous education, dole-outs, and grants assistance. This will encourage farmers to produce more locally and then ultimately ensure our country's food security. As climate change, global conflicts, and the pandemic have taught every nation to protect and secure their own food supply. We cannot continue to rely on imports to feed our people. We must rise up and be resilient to farm and produce food for our country. This will ensure food safety, food security through food sovereignty. After 2 years of hibernation, the industry have learned a lot from the ASF experience, and together with the help of DA and its allied industry partners, must rise up to the challenge of repopulating our herds and practicing the new normal farming way with enhanced biosecurity protocols. So from this day on our path to help alleviate the looming global food crisis, every pig counts. And together we chant, ready, set, let's grow Pinoy pigs once again. So again, thank you very much for listening and have a pleasant good afternoon to all.